Hey there, A's Day fans. Welcome to our Friday edition of our show. I'm your host, Joe Grado. I want to thank each and every one of you for stopping by and lending your support to hear our thoughts on everything athletics baseball. Today is Friday, June 5th. We've got a good show for you. Despite last night's disappointing finish at the hands of that walk-off come-from-behind victory for the Cubbies, it would be the Athletics coming out victorious to kick off their road trip as the A's were able to secure the road series victory, taking the first two in the three-game series. We will be sure to do a full recap as well as hand out our three A's star performers. Later, we will dive into the performance of left-handed pitcher Gage Jump in just his second career Major League start. Went on his way to pitch 7 brilliant innings in the first game of the series. On his way to earning his first Major League victory, we'll dive into just how efficient and effective he was in this one. We were also treated to some news earlier in the week as the Big Amish Nick Kurtz was named the American League Player of the Month for his efforts during the month of May, as we take a deep dive into just how the Big Amish performed throughout the month and what led him to earning his second Player of the Month honor in his young career. And then before getting on out of here, we will be sure to preview the A's next opponent, as the Athletics will be traveling down, or they're already down there in Houston to head to Daikin Park to take on the Astros for a 3-game AL West set over this weekend for our viewing pleasure and to be able to get back into more divisional competition. We've got a good episode for you. Looking forward to chatting all about it. Without further ado, let's get to it. Holy Toledo, let's go A's. A good one for you. Lots of good news to talk about today as compared to some of our previous episodes, so always lightens the mood for our Friday shows for all of our A's Days episodes without a doubt. Okay, let's jump right in. Let's get to the first topic at hand and talk about what went down in the Windy City. So we have to kick it back to Tuesday night at Wrigley Field. The A's coming in looking to start off their road trip on a positive note, coming off a tough conclusion at the hands of the New York Yankees to conclude their homestand. They're looking to move the needle and begin playing winning baseball once again. Fresh off the Monday off day, the A's look to start their road trip strong in Chicago, as we were treated in Game 1 to the rookie left-hander Gage Jump getting the start for the A's, going up against Cubs right-handed pitcher Jameson Taillon. This was the second career start of Gage Jump's Major League career, and we were treated to a pitching display. The Cubs initially would get on the board first via an RBI groundout by third baseman Alex Bregman after back-to-back singles to open the bottom frame, allowing Chicago to grab a 1-0 lead. It would remain 1-0 until the third. The Big Amish Nick Kurtz smashed a solo home run to left center, his 11th of the year, as the A's tied up 1-1. In the fourth, and with 2 outs, Zach Geloff delivers an RBI single to give the A's a 2-1 lead. Gage Jump was brilliant in this one. After 1 run in the first, he kept the Cubbies off the board for 6 additional innings. What a performance from the 23-year-old left-hander in his second career MLB start and on the road at Wrigley Field. He retired 14 batters in a row to give his team a great chance to win the ballgame. Jump in this one, he went 7 innings, allowed 3 hits, 1 run, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts, and he did it all in 85 pitches. Would the lead hold up? Nervous time in the ninth after a scoreless eighth from Justin Sterner. Scott Barlow would be on to close this one out. The first 2 hitters for the Cubs reached to kick off the inning as they have runners on first and second with nobody out. Barlow bears down to get Alex Bregman to strike out swinging, and Seiya Suzuki flew out to right before manager Mark Kotsay went to get left-hander Hogan Harris to face the switch hitter Ian Happ, who has had much more success as a left-handed hitter this season than right-handed. The move pays off as Harris gets Happ to fly out on 2 pitches to nail down the save and preserve the victory. For the A's, it went Jump to Sterner to Barlow to Harris, who picks up his 5th save of the year. Ball game over. A's take Game 1 2-1. So definitely a unique type of game where the A's, where they found themselves perhaps on the shorter end of things in terms of being able to put up consistent run prevention. The A's pitching staff really picked up the team in this one in a big way. 2-1, can't ask for much more. This was a pitching and defense type game. These are the games that you're going to have to win, and we'll see when this team's ready for this moment. Whether it's this year, next year, whenever that moment comes, when this A's team, when they're reintroduced in the postseason baseball, these are the games that they are going to have to win. They're not going to be able to always rely on their high-octane offense, which has been a bit up and down this year as a collective thus far. But they are going to have to continue to learn and find different ways to win different styles of ball games, and they did in this one. Very impressive, and it was led by the rookie left-hander Gage Jump, which we're going to talk about him in a little bit. But we're going to get back to the overall optics of this game. The offenses on both sides were shut down completely. I mean, the offenses combined in this game, 10 for 62, 3 walks, 14 strikeouts, and they went 3 for 14 with runners in scoring position combined. So shout out to Tyone, shout out to Jump, shout out to both bullpens. They really showed up and did what their teams needed to give each of their sides an opportunity to win this one. Highly competitive game all throughout. The scoring in this one was all said and done with by the 3rd inning. So you can imagine all of the tight situations, the nervous times on both sides for the latter half of this game. And it really set the foundation for just how tight this series is going to be. And we'll reflect upon it once it's concluded, once we recap these next 2 games. But Kurtz stays hot, kicking off the month of June, fresh off of being named American League Player of the Month in May, which we'll talk about that in a little bit as well. First game for the A's in June, he hits a home run. It's a big one. It ties the game before Zach Geloff comes through and delivers the go-ahead RBI single, which ends up holding up as the game-winning single. So shout out to those two with good timely hitting when the team needed some offensive boost. One was to tie the game with nobody on, and the other in Geloff was a base hit with the runner in scoring position with 2 outs. And those are the back breakers, and you can see why that cliche does hold up, that was the difference in this game. That if the Cubs could have had an opportunity to run prevent in that situation and get that 3rd and final out before letting that second run come across for the A's, perhaps this outcome's a bit different. Perhaps this game heads to extra innings and sets up the home team with an opportunity to kick off the series at home in the correct way. And the Cubs are coming in. This is the team that's been struggling. Like we had mentioned in our last episode when we were previewing, Cubbies are coming in losing 12 of 15, so for them this has got to be a frustrating one. Definitely some opportunities to win this one, especially later in the game. But they come up in the short end of the stick at home, and they're going to have to flip the page. But really impressive collective team win. Great work from Sterner. Barlow, he bears down in this one when he needed to, and Harris, tight-roping out of that one, made it look easy. But the story of the night, by far, is the spectacular performance from rookie starter left-hander Gage Jump, which we'll dive into his performance now. Through his short time in the minors, Gage Jump was often described as a fiery competitor on the mound, which is why it was no surprise that after allowing 4 runs after 5 innings in his major league debut last week, the left-hander was not very pleased while talking about his milestone day. Hitting the road for his second start, Jump had plenty to be fired up about. The 23-year-old southpaw, who ranks as the A's number 3 prospect and MLB's number 40 overall prospect by MLB Pipeline, dazzled across 7 innings during this past Tuesday's 2-1 victory over the Cubs at Wrigley Field, showing off a blazing fastball that maxed out at 99.3 miles an hour and allowing just 1 run on 3 hits and 1 walk with 5 strikeouts to notch his first major league win. Jump's lone run came in the first inning on a ground out by Alex Bregman, like we mentioned. Soon after, the rookie locked in, allowing just 1 hit, and after the second, retiring his final 14 batters faced to complete his strong 7-inning performance on an efficient 85 pitches. This was the type of outing that has been lacking from the A's rotation, as it marked just the 6th time an A's starter has completed 7 innings this season. Jump also became the first A's pitcher to throw 7 innings and allow 1 or no runs in his first or second career outing since Paul Blackburn did it for the Green and Gold back in 2017. Even with the win and stellar final line, Jump was seemingly the one person inside the A's clubhouse not entirely thrilled with his performance. His own toughest critic, Jump said he takes the result out of his starts and focuses more on pitch execution. By Jump's evaluation, he lacked execution for most of the night, especially when reaching the 2 strike counts on hitters. So while Jump was happy about pitching deep into the game and getting his first win under his belt, he came away from it feeling he has a lot more to work on. It was certainly an amazing way to start the road trip with the rookie dazzling on the mound. And shout out to him. Congratulations to Gage Jump. I love that he holds himself to a higher standard and feels that there's always something that he can be working on, and there's always a mountain that he can go out there and climb. But I love the competitive nature of Jump, and I feel like it's now a new little wrinkle to add into your weekly A's viewing, that now you have an exciting left-hander to go along with the exciting right-hander with JT Ginn. This starting rotation is really forming with the next generation of young A's budding stars. And Gage Jump with that electrifying 99-mile-an-hour fastball that he can work at the top of the zone with his above-average spin rate, it's really something that you don't really see every day from a left-handed pitcher, nevertheless, or let alone a left-handed starter. And he goes 7th in this one. It's exactly what the doctor ordered on his way to his first Major League victory. Congratulations to Gage Jump and family. It's an exciting time in your career, in life. I hope you're able to cherish it and soak it in. I totally understand that you want to go out there and improve upon and never be satisfied. But I hope that Gage Jump took a moment to lament and realize the magnitude of what he went out there and accomplished as a 23-year-old left-hander. Went on the road at Wrigley Field, won a ball game, won 7 innings for your first Major League victory. That's a pretty cool moment, and maybe that's something we'll reflect upon around the All-Star break or perhaps after the season, whatever the case may be, more fully. But congratulations to him. It was really an impressive display of pitching and really set the tone for the A's to go out there and have an opportunity to start the road trip correct on the right foot. It's all about going out there and winning as many series as you can. And by taking that first game in the series, which is something the A's haven't done consistently, makes that job a lot easier. And we now flip the page to Wednesday's game as the A's look to secure the series victory early and get going a bit more offensively. Jeffrey Springs got the ball in this one for the A's, going up against Colin Ray for the Cubs. The A's would get the scoring started in this one via an RBI fielder's choice hit into by Tyler Soderstrom in the first, as the A's grabbed the early 1-0 lead. In the second, newly acquired Alika Williams would deliver an RBI single, bringing home Zach Geloff, and now the A's lead 2-0. In the bottom half, the Cubs would answer back. Seiya Suzuki smashed a solo homer in the left center, as it's now a 2-1 game. In the third, the Cubs would continue to show off their power as Pete Crow Armstrong, or better known as PCA, hits a 2-run homer to right center field into the Wrigley bleachers as the Cubs move ahead 3-2. In the fourth, the Cubs offense would continue to churn as Michael Busch delivered an RBI triple to move the Cubs' advantage to 4-2. After getting it out and walking a batter, Springs' day would be done. Springs only lasted 3 2/3 in this one, allowing 7 hits, 4 runs, 1 walk, 3 strikeouts. The score would remain 4-2 until the 8th. On would come Caleb Thielbar out of the Cubs bullpen to start the inning to face the left-handed hitter Carlos Cortez. On second thought, manager Mark Kotsay sent up pinch hitter Colby Thomas to get a right-handed bat in the box against a left-handed pitcher. And boy, did that pay off, as Thomas hit a Colby Jack over the bleachers in Wrigley and left, his third on the year, and brings the score within 4-3. Later in the inning, Tyler Soderstrom would deliver an RBI single, bringing home Langoliers. We've got a brand new ball game. It's all tied up 4-4. Both teams went 3 up and 3 down in the ninth, meaning free baseball in Chicago. To the 10th we go, automatic runner on second base. Nick Kurtz delivered the go-ahead RBI single to left, bringing home Alika Williams and giving the A's the 5-4 lead. On comes Justin Sterner to close this out. And what does he do? He delivers. He gets Nico Hoerner to line out, PCA to strike out, and Alex Bregman to line out to Lawrence Butler in right to preserve this one. For the A's, it went Springs to Kuhnel to Suarez to Leiter Jr. to Medina to Harris to Sterner, who picks up his first career Major League save. Ball game over. A's win 5-4 in 10 innings and secure the series victory on the road against the Cubs. So much better offensive showing in this one. You got offensive contributions basically from everyone up and down the lineup. 8 out of the 9 starters collected at least a hit. The only guy not to was Lawrence Butler, but I do think he drew a walk in this one. So I think all 9 starters got on base at some point. And then Colby Thomas delivers the huge pinch hit home run in that 8th inning when the A's offense just needed a little bit of a spark. But the matchup really dictated that too as well. Bringing in the right-handed hitting Thomas to face the left-handed pitcher is going to swing the percentages in the favor typically to the right-handed hitter. And Kate pushed the right buttons there. Thomas delivers, hit a ball. It cleared the left field bleachers at Wrigley into the streets. What an impressive shot, and it seemed like it really got the team going in that inning. And then Tyler Soderstrom's hot inning continues. He comes through. They tie the game 4-4 before the Big Amish Nick Kurtz comes through in that 10th inning, connecting at bats, not trying to do too much, staying within themselves and getting the job done to help put forth a winning effort for the team. Really focusing on the offense in this one. Jeffrey Springs, not his best outing, a tough one. Doesn't make it out of the 4th inning. But again, that's the nature of how teams begin to learn how to win. It's not always going to look pretty. Pitchers aren't going to always have their best stuff. And hitters aren't always going to be able to put more than a couple of runs together, whatever the case may be. And it may happen at different junctures of the game, but you're going to have to be adaptive, and you're going to have to find different ways to navigate to securing that 27th and final out, having the advantage on the scoreboard. That's what the A's did. Obviously, in Game 1, they went it with more of a pitching and defense style, conventional type of game. And then in this one, they have a come-from-behind victory, connecting their offensive at-bats, not going into the well of selling out for all power or nothing. And they just shortened up a little bit with runners in scoring position. And I didn't even take the time in this one to fully look at all of the scoring situations in terms of the at-bats. Like I typically have been able to go back and rewatch some of the at-bats with runners in scoring position. You can see guys are trying to do a little bit too much. Didn't have as much of a time for this episode to be able to do as deep of a dive there. That's something I enjoy because then you can see the pitch sequencing and just see how the hitter is guessing along with the pitcher and just kind of see them sticking to their plan and how the outcome does. It really tells a story when you have an opportunity to go back. I highly recommend it. If you love the game, that's definitely something where there's different ways that you can dive deeper to be able to enjoy it. But the A's in this one, they go 3 for 7 runners in scoring position, so certainly cashed in more on those opportunities, and they needed every bit of it to come back and get this one. This was a great comeback win. And I know, again, the Cubs, like I mentioned, now coming into this one were losers of 13 of 16. I think this drove them up to 14 of 17. But this is a good team at the end of the day. I think the Cubs are just going through the ringer through it right now, and they're not finding a way out of this tough situation. And you saw what these type of stretches can do to a team. Now, thankfully, the Cubs are a little bit in a different situation because while they were marred in a 10-game losing streak, and like I said, they've lost this large number of games around it, thankfully, to their credit, they had 2 10-game winning streaks. So they're kind of hovering just above 500 right at this point, where a lot of teams going through this could have potentially buried their season. So thankfully, the Cubs have done enough to stay afloat. And I know they're right now in the toughest division in baseball in the National League Central. But nevertheless, I do think with some adjustments to the deadline and starting to see some uptick in performances from some of their regulars, I do think you'll see the Cubs in the thick of it when it's all said and done. But like I had mentioned in the preview, I think the A's caught this Cubs team at the right time when this lineup is shuffling a bit. Even the guys that we're matching up with in this starting rotation in terms of the starting pitching matchups, a lot of these guys like Shota Imanaga, who we're going to talk about shortly, who was this next and final game's starter, he is coming into this start losing 4 starts in a row. Jameson Taillon has been giving up a lot of hard contact, and Colin Ray has been a little bit up and down with his sinker. So it kind of just aligned where it just really felt like the A's were coming into this road situation at an ideal opportunity for them to be able to come into Wrigley and be able to take advantage of that opportunity. And through 2 games, that's what they've done so far. And want to shout out the bullpen in this one too. Jeffrey Springs didn't work his way deep into this one, but for the large amount of starts where Jeffrey Springs has delivered and has saved the bullpen, now the bullpen figured, hey, it's our time. He's had our bag. Now it's time to have his. And they did a phenomenal job in this one. Over 5 1/3 innings pitched. They didn't allow any runs, only 2 hits, 1 walk, and 6 strikeouts. That's getting the job done, and that's carrying your team to the pathway to victory. So now the A's, with this victory in Game 2 of the 3-game set, they secured the series victory and have an opportunity to flip the page to the next evening to complete the 3-game sweep, as JT Ginn would be getting the ball in this one as he was moved up a day as the A's continue to navigate this rotation turnover due to injury and minor league promotion. So Ginn on the mound for the A's. He'd be going up against Cubs left-hander Shota Imanaga. The green and gold going for the 3-game sweep, riding high from the comeback win from the night before. We would be scoreless in this one until the 4th. There goes that man again, the man they call Bangaliers. Shea Langoliers hammers an opposite field solo home run that tucks just over the basket netting hangover in right as the A's grab a 1-0 lead. To the 6th we go. Henry Bolte delivered an RBI double to move the A's ahead 2-0. 2 batters later, Shea Langoliers would drive a fly ball to medium-deep center that carried and fell well behind the center fielder Pete Crow Armstrong as he lost in the lights and had no idea where it had gone until it was landed well behind him. And from there, Langoliers was off to the races. All the way around the bases he goes as it's an inside the park 2-run home run. Now his 16th on the year, 2nd of the evening. It's 4-0 A's. In the bottom half of the inning, PCA redeemed himself as he blasted a solo home run to help spark a rally for the Cubs as it's now 4-1. JT Ginn, well, he was brilliant again in this one as the PCA home run would be his lone blemish. Ginn went 6 innings, allowed 2 hits, 1 run, 1 walk, and 8 strikeouts. To the 7th we go. The A's would continue their power display. Tyler Soderstrom and Jonah Heim hammer back-to-back solo home runs to increase their lead to 6-1. The A's at this point have now homered 4 times in this game. In the bottom of the inning, Ian Happ inches the Cubs a bit closer with a 2-run home run to bring it within 6-3. Still 6-3, we head to the bottom of the 9th. The A's are 3 outs away from completing the sweep. On is Joel Kuhnel to close this one out. The Cubbies would get rolling late as Ian Happ drove an RBI double and Moises Ballesteros followed with an infield RBI single as it's now, before you can blink, 6-5. After a Seiya Suzuki single, manager Mark Kotsay would summon Luis Medina to try to preserve this 1-run lead. Unfortunately for the A's, Dansby Swanson would come through with a game-tying RBI single before a full redemption for this Cubs player was complete. Pete Crow Armstrong, PCA, comes through in the clutch with his first career walk-off via an RBI single. Ball game over, Cubs walk it off and win 7-6, salvaging 1 in the 3-game set. So, you still take 2 out of 3. So congrats on getting the job done on the road. But this one stung a little bit. Going into that bottom of the 7th inning, you're up 6-1, and you can't win that game. I mean, that just goes to speak to the nature of the availability of this A's bullpen right now. Some days it looks great. You heard what I say from the game before, where the bullpen covered 5 1/3 innings of scoreless baseball, and then they come out here and the floodgates are open rapidly in that ninth and final inning. And see, it's just the tough, like I said, I think the competitive nature that I live by. Yes, it's very satisfying that the A's went out there and they took 2 out of 3, but it's tough to let that one that goes away get away. Because, again, we've mentioned this. No, we don't mention this often, but there have been a couple of games this year where the A's were in prime position to be on the clear path to victory and have let victory slip out of their grasp. And this is another one. You're up by 5 that late in the game and you can't get it done. You got to find some people, or you just got to get some consistency from guys that are going to be able to get you to that 27th and final out with no questions asked. And this has been an area on this team where I've been clamoring that they need more of an identity created. And I understand why you went with the bullpen by committee identity, because what that says is you don't have a closer on this team. That's not throwing shade at anyone on this club. There's just a lot of different moving parts in this bullpen right now, which is why you're going to see this differentiating of roller coaster outcomes. Sometimes it's going to look great, others it's going to explode. Like, look up and down. Like, Hogan Harris has saving experience from last season, but he's a starter converted closer, reliever / closer. And granted, out of this group, he probably would be if you went with a singular guy to be named the closer right now, it would be Hogan Harris, just because how he thrives on those tighter situations and has that mentality that if he has the lead, it's on his back to preserve it, and he's not going to let the opposition gain even an inch. But wouldn't you think Hogan Harris would be better suited if there's a tough situation in the 6th, 7th, 8th? He can go multi-innings because of that starter experience. I just feel like I believe that Hogan Harris is best suited to be a high-leverage reliever. I just wouldn't want to pigeonhole someone like that into the closer role just because I think he serves so many different situational values that I do think is important in this bullpen that's looking for consistent answers. Luis Medina is someone that is a converted starter that he's still looking to find his footing in the bullpen. Mark Leiter Jr., who has been summoned into closing situations, has basically been a lifetime setup man or middle relief guy. What I'm saying is that you can have these guys slot into different situations, but I think now entrusting or having these guys need to step up and fill in these closing roles on different nights kind of avoids that consistency that I feel like needs to be built up to have that continuity within a team, that everyone knows their role. And I understand that different situations are going to dictate different strategies. But I do think if you set forth with a clear plan of attack, this is my guy in the 9th, this is my guy in the 8th, and it's situational from there, I think that could go a long way. I know easier said than done, and I know losing someone of significance like Mason Miller, and I know that's now we're approaching almost a year ago. Can't believe how time flies. End of July will be a year already that Mason Miller is not donned a green and gold uniform. So I know there have been some answers looking for that, but nevertheless, long story short, I do feel like we've seen the bullpen pick up this team at times, but we've seen them implode like this in innings at others. And it's just really unfortunate for how this series started, and the A's really had an opportunity to sweep the series and ride that strong momentum into the weekend in Houston. They get their hearts broken in this one. But like I said, nevertheless, they do their job. They win the series. Now they have an opportunity to win some important AL West divisional games. JT again was brilliant in this one. He was originally slated to start in Houston, but because a little bit of the shifting of the rotation due to some injuries and some guys getting called up, Ginn was bumped up a day. He started tonight, and he was locked in and ready to go from the jump. He only makes the one mistake with the PCA solo home run in the 6th, completely harmless. He had the Cubs offense off balance all night. He was such a joy to watch, mixing that sinker, that changeup, his whole pitch mix, and he was working all quadrants to the plate, and it's such a shame that he doesn't get to reflect on this one and discuss how he was victorious in this one, because far and away he deserved it in this and then some. So it wasn't meant to complete the sweep, but nevertheless, like I said, the A's, they win the series, and in this series they improve to 30-32 to remain 2 games behind the red-hot Seattle Mariners. They're looking to keep pace on the season, looking to keep the road trip going in a positive direction. Before we get to some more news and the preview, we're going to name our 3 A-star performers in this series. So for our 3rd star, we're going to give it to JT Ginn. He was absolutely dominant. He put forth a winning effort, and when he left the mound, this team was winning, and he deserved every bit of being the winning pitcher of record. Wasn't meant to be due to the Cubs' comeback in the 9th, but nevertheless, we still wanted to shine a light on the strong pitching performance of the young right-hander. Ginn, in his start in Game 3, went 6 innings, allowed 2 hits, 1 run, 1 walk, and 8 Ks. For our 2nd star, we're going to give it to the Big Amish, Nick Kurtz. He went 2 for 7 in the series with a home run and 2 RBIs, but those 2 hits were significantly important to the A's going on to winning this series. He had a game-tying home run when the A's were down 1-0 in the first game, and then he had the go-ahead winning single in Game 2 to give the A's a 5-4 lead in that 10th inning, extra inning victory back on Wednesday. So that is what led us to choose Nick Kurtz to being our 2nd star, and our 1st star I think was obvious, unless something crazy happened in this series where people were putting up historic performances. But our 1st star is going to left-handed pitcher Gage Jump, who earns his first Major League win back on Tuesday. Congratulations, Gage, and to your family. Such an exciting time. Enjoy it. Once again, he went 7 innings, allowed 3 hits, 1 run, 1 walk, 5 Ks, and 85 pitches. Absolutely dominant stuff. He retired the final 14 batters he faced in this one. He is our A's Day 1st star performer. Congrats to Jump, the first of many stars we can't wait to hand out to you following your strong pitching performances. With the Cubs series over and done with, the plane heads to Houston. But first, we have one thing to touch upon as the Big Amish adds more hardware at the start of his young MLB career. First baseman Nick Kurtz of the Athletics has been voted the American League Player of the Month for May. Kurtz earned his 2nd career award after previously winning last July en route to being named AL Jackie Robinson Rookie of the Year. It is the first honor for the Athletics since his teammate Shea Langoliers won last August, with Kurtz becoming the 3rd A's player to win multiple times in his career, joining Jose Canseco, who did it back in 1988 and May 1990, and Jason Giambi, who did it September 2000 and May 2001. The 23-year-old hit .333, which is good for 34 for 102, with 5 home runs, 26 RBIs, 7 doubles, a triple, 21 walks, 21 runs scored, 3 stolen bases, a .569 slugging percentage, and a .456 on-base percentage across 28 contests. The Lancaster, Pennsylvania native led the majors in RBIs and OPS at 1.025, ranked 2nd in on-base percentage, tied for 2nd in hits and runs scored, tied for 3rd in batting average, tied for 4th in walks, and ranked 10th in slugging. Additionally, his 58 total bases were 6th most in the American League. The 2025 AL Jackie Robinson Rookie of the Year reached base safely in 48 consecutive games from April 3rd through May 25th, batting .308, a .464 on base, and .523 slugging percentage with 8 home runs, 37 RBIs, 11 doubles, a triple, 48 walks, and a .987 OPS during the streak. It matched Mark McGwire for the longest single-season on-base streak in Athletics history, tying McGwire's 48 consecutive games in 1996 as part of a larger franchise record 62-game on-base streak that spanned the 1995 to 96 seasons. It was the longest on-base streak by any Major League player within a single season since Shin-Soo Choo with Cleveland, reached base safely in 52. Oh, excuse me, for the Texas Rangers. This was later in his career when he reached base safely in 52 consecutive games back in 2018. The 2025 AL Silver Slugger at first base racked up 5 RBIs on May 19th at Los Angeles against the Angels, marking his 5th career game with at least 4 RBIs. Kurtz also tallied 4 RBIs on May 13th against St. Louis, and his 5 career games with at least 4 RBI are the most by an A's player before turning age 24, since Eric Chavez recorded 9 games of at least 4 RBIs across the 1999 to 2001 seasons. The fourth overall selection of the 2024 draft recorded at least 5 home runs and 25 RBIs in a single month for the second time in his career, joining his 11 homers and 27 RBIs last July. Kurtz became the first A's player since Canseco to record multiple months of at least 5 home runs and 25 RBIs before his 24th birthday. The Wake Forest University product drew multiple walks in 3 consecutive games from May 20th to 23rd, marking the second time in his career that he drew multiple walks in at least 3 straight games. Joining his 4-game streak last August, he is the second A's player to record at least 2 such streaks prior to his 24th birthday, joining Hall of Famer Rickey Henderson, who recorded 3 streaks of at least 3 consecutive games with multiple walks in 1980. So congrats to the Big Amish, Nick Kurtz, being named American League Player of the Month for his performance in May. Looking forward to seeing many more added to your hardware for several months to come. This episode is brought to you by Visit Mesa. Welcome to Mesa, Arizona, a destination for every season. Experience a destination where adventure, culture, and culinary experiences are limitless. As the gateway to the stunning Sonoran Desert and Tonto National Forest, Mesa invites you to explore its scenic waterways, kayak through winding canyons, or paddleboard along the Salt River. For a one-of-a-kind desert adventure, ride the waves at Revel Surf at Cannon Beach, the country's first surf park of its kind. Downtown Mesa is a vibrant hub, home to the Mesa Arts Center, public art, award-winning breweries, and local shops. Food lovers can explore the Fresh Foodie Trail and the diverse flavors of Mesa's Asian District. Sports fans can experience MLB spring training with the Chicago Cubs and athletics, or visit one of North America's largest youth sports complexes. As the world's first autism-certified city, Mesa is dedicated to accessibility and inclusivity for all visitors. All right, we head to the back half of our show, as next up we head into the weekend with some AL West action as the A's are down at Daikin Park in Houston, getting set to take on the Astros for a 3-game series. The Astros come into this one 27-35, and they are led by manager Joe Espada. Offensively, this is how they have performed thus far and their rankings against their MLB peers. They've batted a .245 batting average, which is 11th in baseball. They've hit 82 home runs, which is tied for 5th. They've scored 289 runs, which is 10th. They've walked 211 times, which is 20th. They've struck out 519 times, which is 15th, and have hit to a .730 OPS, which is 7th in baseball. On the mound, this has been an area that has been rather shocking. This has been the foundation and the backbone of this organization. They have been struggling rather mightily. You are not going to expect to hear this about a Houston Astros pitching staff, but they have pitched it to a .503 ERA, which is 29th in baseball. They've walked 304 batters, which is the most. They've struck out 531, which is tied for 11th, and they've pitched to a .145 whip, which is 27th. Very uncharacteristic indeed. And defensively, this is where they've thrived. They've fielded it at a .989 fielding percentage, which is 4th in baseball, to go along with their 24 errors committed, which is tied for the 4th least in baseball, with the Athletics, of course. Now let's talk about how the Astros project in terms of their starting lineup. They'll be led off at shortstop by Jeremy Pena. Batting second, the designated hitter, Yordan Alvarez. Batting third, the first baseman, Christian Walker. Batting fourth, the third baseman, Isaac Paredes. Batting fifth, the left fielder, Taylor Trammell. Batting sixth, the right fielder, Cam Smith. Batting seventh, the center fielder, Jake Myers. Batting eighth, the second baseman, Bryce Matthews. And batting ninth, the catcher, Christian Vasquez. Notably missing is Jose Altuve, who is currently on the injured list, looking to make his way back sooner rather than later. Hopefully Jose gets well soon. All right, let's discuss the game times and starting pitching matchups for this 3-game series. So tonight, first pitch scheduled for 5:10 p.m. Pacific time. A's will be sending Jack Perkins to the mound. He'll be going up against Peter Lambert. Tomorrow's game, Game 2, is a 1:10 p.m. Pacific time first pitch. We will be treated to the exciting MLB debut of the A's number 12 prospect, Cade Morris, who we talked about on our last episode. He will be making his debut in this one, going up against Astros right-handed pitcher Tatsuya Imai. And then Sunday's Game 3 rubber match is also a day game. This one is set for 11:10 a.m. Pacific time first pitch. Gage Jump will be making his 3rd career MLB start, going up against Astros right-handed pitcher Mike Burrows. Let's get to know these Astros starting pitchers, their scouting reports that the A's hitters will be going up against. So tonight's Game 1 starter is right-handed pitcher Peter Lambert. On the year thus far, he's made 8 starts, going 4-4 with a 3.77 ERA. In 45 1/3 innings pitched, he's walked 21 batters, struck out 43, and has pitched to a 1.21 whip. In his last start, he got the win against Milwaukee. He went 5 innings, allowed 5 hits, 2 runs, 3 walks, 3 Ks. His fastball thus far this season has averaged 94.2 miles an hour on the 2026 campaign. His barrel percentage allowed is 4.9, which ranks in the 83rd percentile of all qualified pitchers, according to Baseball Savant. Peter Lambert has successfully reinvented himself as a highly functional, resilient swingman and depth starter for the Houston Astros. Following a revitalizing 2025 season pitching in Japan's NPB for the Tokyo Yakult Swallows, Lambert returned to the U.S. on a minor league deal. Due to a wave of rotation injuries in Houston, his contract was selected in mid-April. He has carved out a stable, much-needed role in the team's pitching staff. Lambert's profile has transitioned from a finesse pitchability prospect into a robust hybrid power stuff pitcher, capitalizing on a velocity bump and mechanical refinements picked up overseas. With his pitch repertoire, it starts with his four-seam fastball, which he uses 42.6% of the time, sits at 94.2 miles an hour and topping out at 96.3. This is a distinct jump from his historical 90 to 92 mile an hour baseline. He sequences it effectively to both sides of the plate. His slider, coming in at 84 miles an hour, is his primary secondary weapon. Generates an optimal 26.1 whiff percentage and acts as his primary outpitch against right-handed hitters. His sinker-cutter mix comes in at about 92 to 94 miles an hour. It's thrown frequently to induce soft contact. His sinker metrics yield a 41.8% ground ball rate, which has helped stabilize a volatile Astros pitching staff. His circle changeup, coming in at 88 miles an hour, kept in reserve primarily to disrupt the timing of left-handed batters. Some of Lambert's strength is suppressing hard contact. Lambert ranks in the upper tier of major league pitchers at limiting barrel rates and average opponent exit velocity. He works with a deep arsenal and tactical execution. He boasts a true 5-pitch mix. He relies heavily on advanced sequencing and pregame scouting to keep hitters off balance rather than blowing them away with pure stuff. He does have role versatility with his pitching makeup as well, proven capability to operate as a traditional 5-inning starter, a long relief option, or multi-inning swingman. Some weaknesses and risks in terms of Lambert's game: he has shown some inconsistent command. While his control is generally acceptable and respectable, Lambert is prone to stretches where he battles his release point. This is evidenced by an 11.1% walk rate and several starts where high pitch counts chased him early. True to his hybrid nature, his efficiency dips significantly when facing lineups a third time. This limits his ceiling as a true frontline starter. So that's what you can expect from tonight's Game 1 starter in Peter Lambert. Let's talk about the Astros Game 2 starter tomorrow, as they will be sending right-handed pitcher Tatsuya Imai, who the A's have faced off against earlier this year. On the 2026 campaign, Imai has made 7 starts, pitching to a 2-3 record with a 5.52 ERA. In 29 of the third innings pitched, he's walked 20 batters, struck out 28, and has pitched to a 1.36 whip. In his last start, he lost against the Brewers, but pitched well. He went 6 innings, allowed 3 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, 5 Ks. In his last start against the A's, and it was his first career start against the A's since this is his rookie season, it was up in West Sacramento back on April 4th, where the Astros won 11-0. Imai was brilliant in this one. He went 5 2/3 innings, allowed 3 hits, no runs, 3 walks, and 9 strikeouts, en route to his first career Major League win. So when Imai sees the green and gold, he's going to have fond memories in his head. Hopefully the A's can change that dynamic sooner rather than later. Imai, while it has been a bit of a rough rookie season, has been better over his last 2 starts, going 1-1 with a 1.50 ERA, 12 innings, 6 walks, 7 Ks, and an .083 opponent batting average. His fastball velocity has averaged 94.8 miles an hour in the year thus far. He has worked to a 52 ground ball percentage, which ranks in the 88th percentile, along with a 28.2 whiff percentage, which ranks in the 72nd percentile. Imai stands at 5'11 and roughly 176 pounds. Scouts praise his loose, whippy athleticism and explosive lower body mechanics down the mound. With his low release height, he operates from a unique 20-degree sidearm, low 3/4 slot, well below the MLB average of 40 degrees. His release height sits nearly 10 inches lower than the Major League average. He offers some visual deception, as the low slot creates an incredibly flat vertical approach angle. This causes his fastball to appear to rise or stay flat to the zone, making it exceptionally difficult for hitters to get on top of or under. Imai works with the following pitching repertoire, starting with his 4-seam fastball, sits consistently at 95 to 96, topping out at 98 to 99 miles an hour. Rather than vertical carry, it features heavy arm side run due to his low arm angle. The backward slider, his primary secondary pitch, is a tight mid-80s breaking ball with rare inverted horizontal movement. Unlike traditional sliders that break away from right-handed hitters, Imai's slider frequently displays wrong way arm side run. His splitter changeup mix flirts with multiple off-speed variations, including a traditional changeup and a hard-falling split-finger fastball. The splitter provides excellent vertical separation from his flat fastball and serves as his primary swing and miss weapon against left-handed hitters. And his curveball, which is thrown sparingly, around 2% of the time with sharp spin rates in the 25 to 2600 RPM range, is set up to disrupt a hitter's timing. Some current areas of development are continued search for command and adjustments. Strike throwing remains his biggest developmental hurdle. While his walk rate consistently improved during his final seasons in Japan, he has struggled to adjust to the slicker MLB baseball, the pitch clock, and American scouting report styles, occasionally dropping his strike percentage below 50%. His arsenal optimization. Pitching analysts note that because Imai's fastball and slider both feature arm side horizontal movement, he can occasionally struggle to establish true glove side sweep. The Astros player development system is expected to work on integrating a true glove side sweeper to better balance his lateral attack plan. Despite early season arm fatigue that required a stint on the 15-day injured list, Imai has a historical workhorse track record. He frequently maintains his peak 96 to 97 mile an hour velocity deep into games, even after crossing the 100 pitch mark. And of course, Imai is part of a combined no-hitter that the Astros completed, which is a nice piece of history to attach during your rookie season. And as for Sunday's Game 3 starter, the A's will be going up against right-handed pitcher Mike Burrows. On the year thus far, he has made 12 starts, pitching to a 3-7 record with a 5.66 ERA. In 68 and a third innings pitched, he's walked 26 batters, 57 strikeouts, a 1.54 whip, and he has allowed 15 home runs, so he can be susceptible to the long ball. In his last start, he got the loss against the Pirates, going 5 innings, allowing 8 hits, 6 runs, 5 of them earned, 5 walks, 3 Ks. And his fastball has averaged 94.8 miles an hour in the year thus far. With his pitch arsenal breakdown, he works with a changeup, which is easily his best weapon and one of the most elite combos in baseball. Features an exceptional 43% whiff rate and an elite +9 run value. It's deployed nearly 50% of the time against left-handed hitters, suppressing opposing lefties to an ultra-low 147 batting average against. His slider curveball features sharp, high-spin, late vertical break. His slider holds right-handed hitters to a meager 203 average with a 28.8% whiff rate. His standard low 80s curveball is highly volatile. It logs a massive 30.5% called strike rate, which is in the 94th percentile, but gets hit hard when hung, a 500 slugging percentage against. And his four-seam fastball, which sits at 94 to 96 miles an hour, occasionally touching 97 with riding action. This remains Burrow's major developmental bottleneck. Opponents are routinely clobbering his four-seamer, hunting it for power. Out of the 14 home runs he has surrendered through the beginning of June 2026, 9 were hit against his four-seamer. Burrows has struggled with a bloated 5.97 ERA and 1.65 whip, primarily due to giving up 13-plus home runs and the fifth most hits in baseball. There is a sabermetric silver lining. StatCast tracking indicates he has been remarkably unlucky. His expected metrics xFIP indicate positive sequencing regression is coming. The Houston Astros coaching staff is working to transition his fastball profile. He's dialing back his vulnerable four-seam usage in favor of an increased two-seam sinker usage against righties to limit the heavy fly ball damage. We'll see if the A's can get on the board and get some of that home run power going against him. So thus far this year, the A's are 2-1 head-to-head against the Astros. They faced off during the A's home opener series back from April 3rd to the 5th. The A's took Game 1, which yours truly, A's Day, was in attendance. They won 11-4 before the Astros stormed back and took Game 2 11-0 before the A's saved the baseball theatrics for last as Brent Rooker had a walk-off two-run home run in the 10th inning to win the game and to secure the home series victory against the Astros in that one. That was an exciting series without a doubt. Now, how have these A's hitters fared against these Astros starting pitchers in the past? Well, against Peter Lambert, not much history here. Zach Geloff went 1-for-1. As compared to Tatsuya Imai, Nick Kurtz went 1-for-2 to a walk. Not much success in that April meeting, which is why there isn't a lot of history. As compared to Lambert, spent a lot of his time in the National League, which you can understand why there wouldn't be too much hitter history in this situation against an American League team, especially the first year in Houston. And then against Mike Burrows, Jeff McNeil lifetime is 2-for-2. Brett Rooker is 2-for-2. Tyler Soderstrom 1-for-2. Carlos Cortez 1-for-2. Nick Kurtz 1-for-2 as well. So they've gotten some hits off of him without a doubt. Some Astros players to watch. They are led offensively by designated hitter Yordan Alvarez. He's off to an MVP-type start. He's hitting .305 on the year with 21 home runs, which leads the American League at the time of recording. 42 RBIs, and a 1.065 OPS. Over at first base, you'll have Christian Walker, who's off to a .248 batting average with 16 home runs and 44 runs batted in, hitting to an .826 OPS. And rounding out the player to watch segment is Isaac Paredes, who's hitting .233 with 6 home runs, 24 RBIs, and a .697 OPS. Now, before we get on out of here and prepare to enjoy the A's baseball action, it's prediction time. For our A's home run prediction, we are going to select the Big Amish, Nick Kurtz. We feel he is in the midst of a power surge, and obviously Nick Kurtz have had a lot of success down at Daikin Park in Houston. Definitely a welcome sight when you've seen a bunch go through the hoop to go back there and continue to add onto your legacy down in that ballpark. So we're taking Nick Kurtz. We think he's homering at least once in this series. And as for a series prediction, we do feel this will be a winning road trip for the Green and Gold. We're predicting again that they're going to win 2 out of 3. We do believe they will win 6-3 before dropping tomorrow's game 7-2, before the A's bounce back and take Sunday's victory 5-3 in a tight, competitive 3-game series. So A's fans, hope you're able to enjoy all of the baseball action, and hopefully the A's can rack up some AL West wins this weekend. With that, that's a wrap on this edition of A's Day. Appreciate you all stopping by. On today's show, we were able to recap what went down in Chicago. Again, the A's, they take 2 out of 3. We talked about Gage Jump's first career Major League victory. Nick Kurtz, he was named American League Player of the Month for his efforts in May. And then we just got done wrapping up previewing the Houston Astros, the A's next opponent over this weekend. We've made our predictions. We're selecting the Big Amish Nick Kurtz, leaving the park at least once this weekend. And we're feeling confident. We're riding high with this team. They're going to take 2 out of 3 against this Astros team. We'll be back behind the mic for Monday's show as we are going to recap what goes down over this weekend against the Astros, as well as preview their upcoming homestand in the A's. They will be playing this upcoming week in Vegas, starting with the Milwaukee Brewers. We'll discuss what these home games are aligning to, get to know the Brewers a bit more. We'll also share some A's news that happens between now and Monday's show and anything else that comes across our desk. Regarding the A's, if we see it, we're going to bring it here to our audience and give our thoughts and have a wonderful conversation about it. That's all I have for you. Enjoy all the A's baseball this week. Again, first pitch tonight, 5:10 p.m. Pacific time. Jack Perkins is getting the ball for the A's, going up against Peter Lambert. Feeling good about the A's coming off this road series in Wrigley. I think they're going to have some success over this weekend down in Houston. Hope you're all able to enjoy the baseball action all throughout the weekend. I know we will, without a doubt, and looking forward to talking about it behind the mic for Monday's show. Take care, everyone. Hope you all have a great weekend. Let's go A's. Holy Toledo. Let's go A's.